Hi guys, this is Casey of Star Baby Star coming at you. It's on how to balance your student life and a parent life, being a new parent, something I know very, very well. I'm just gonna, spit out the first 5 tips for you. Step 1 or tip 1 is to negotiate with your instructor to have at-home lectures. 2 is to study while you're feeding. 3 is to plan your day a week plan your days a week in advance. 4, keep good relationships with your instructor. And 5, I'm just going to give you some words of encouragement. It's don't give in to the whole you can't do both. Okay? So I'm kind of just going to go into a little depth of each and every single one of them. So the first one was negotiating with your instructor to have at-home lectures. Now this is something that you might not have the flexibility that I do because I go to a really good school, but it doesn't hurt to try. With your at-home lectures, you just want to tell your teacher your story. Like, I'm home with a newborn, or, I'm about to have birth in, a month or so. Is there a way that I can have at-home lectures? This was a big challenge for me at first because going into a new semester, literally 6 days after we had our daughter Riley, it was a little challenging. I didn't know what to expect. But I basically just went to my instructor and I said, hey, listen, this is my situation. I just gave birth to a daughter a few days ago. Is there any way that I can have class 1 day a week or 2 days a week, but be virtual? Now, I'm taking 3 classes right now. I am taking OTA at Maria College, and that's Occupational Therapist Assistant. And it's basically like I'm talking to my instructor and I said, hey, listen, I have 3 classes right now. I have a lab and 2 other classes. Is there any way that I can go to school for my lab and my skills class, and then for my other class have a lecture that'll be like Zoom? Because just coming out of a pandemic, we all know Zoom, we know Microsoft Teams, we know, any of those things that any school uses. Every school is different. And you just kind of want to be like, okay, well, I want to have class 2 days a week. Or I want to be Zoom one of the 2 days a week. You kind of just got to, feel out your instructor and talk to them. Studying while you're feeding. That's a big thing for me. We were, a few months ago, we were trying to find studying techniques, that'll help us, remember things, but in a simpler form. So we did some research and we found a guy named Ali Abdal. He's a medical student. Well, he might be a doctor now, but he talks about something called a spaced repetition. Now, just kind of briefly summarize what that is it's basically you're taking an Excel sheet and you're making a what for the question and an answer. So like column A will be what is health, and column B will be your answer. And you're kind of just going to go A and B. Question in column A, column B is your answer, and you're just kind of going to go back and forth. And when you do this, when you study while you're feeding, you have the baby in one arm, you have the bottle here, you could have your laptop in front of you, and, be like, okay, well, what is health? Or what is this medication? Oh, it's this. All while you're feeding the baby. Because you only need to have your lap for your laptop. So that's kind of really it for, studying while you're feeding. But when you make your Excel sheets, make sure you have, if you have 3 classes, have an Excel sheet for each class. And then within each class, have a tab for each chapter. So one of my classes is Foundation of Skills. So I'll have an Excel sheet called Foundations of Skills. And then inside that Excel sheet, I'll have tab 1 will be chapter 1. Tab 2 will be chapter 2. Tab 3 is chapter 3. And so on and so forth. Which brings me into planning your days a week in advance. So when it comes to that, you want to before you start your classes or before you, get into the groove of things, you want to make sure you have your syllabus printed out and make sure you have your course schedule printed out, because they will be your best friend, and I mean your best friend. So basically you just want to have an outline of, what you're talking about that week in class, and make sure you reach out to your instructor and say, hey, is there any way I can have the PowerPoint ahead of time so that I can look it over and be prepared for class? So that's a big help for me. And also you want to have the chapters that you need read before class. So you're more prepared. So while you're in your Zoom class, you obviously want to be paying attention, but you also will, you'll have an understanding of what's going on. So you're not having to take 50,000 notes while your teacher's talking. Which will bring me into the next one. which would be keeping good relationships with your instructors. This is a very important thing to do because by having your instructor and you on good terms, you have a little more flexibility with having them work with you as to having remote classes, or, you know, maybe you have that extra assignment that you need 5 extra minutes for, or hey, something happened with the baby, I need, you know, a couple extra minutes to do this assignment. Is that okay? And when I say having a good relationship, you know, you want to explain to them your situation. You want to, you know, don't be afraid to email them. We're all afraid of, you know, being in college, you know, emailing your instructors. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be a pest. I'm a pest. Oh my gosh. No, your instructors, they're not going to think you're a pest. Because that was my mindset. I was like, I'm going to annoy my instructors. This isn't going to be a good sign. But honestly, your instructors will work with you. You just got to be willing to meet halfway. But this brings me to the last point. Now, for me, this is the biggest point because it's don't give in to the you can't do both mindset, because you can't do both. A little bit of my story is when my parents and Ryan's parents found out we were expecting and they found out I was going to school, they were always like, oh no, you can't do both. It's going to be too much, you know, it's going to be a lot. You're not going to be able to study. You're not going to be able to, you know, study for your tests. You're not going to be able to do your homework. You're not going to be able to do your projects. And at Star Baby Star, we believe in proving people wrong. And that's our biggest mission in life, is to prove people wrong. And I was one of these people that I was like, no, I'm going to make sure I do both. Because another thing too, when I get to this, is don't use your child as an excuse. Use them as a reason. Use them as a reason to do this. Have in your mind that I'm going to do this because I'm going to do this for him or her. I'm going to do this for the baby. I'm going to do this for a better future. I'm going to do this for... Think future. Think long distance. Don't keep thinking like, oh, well, tomorrow I have to do this. No, think like 2 years from now, 10 years from now. Where do you want to be? But I'm going to tell you guys that you can do it. I believe in every single one of you. You got this. That's pretty much it for this video here. Our next video is going to be how to keep organized in a small space with a newborn. That's our next video. So stay tuned. Don't forget to like if you like this video, subscribe. This is Casey of Star Baby Star, out.